Hey, it's Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk about Bitcoin taking a little bit of a temporary dive yesterday down to about $5,100 and then making a really quick, really strong recovery, and how a lot of times the best move, if you're holding, the best move is no move. At all, and just to kind of close your eyes and let things happen, and kind of tell why I think that in a lot of respects as well. Now, again, still traveling for work right now, and if my voice sounds very velvety and smooth, it's because I've done nothing but eat fast food and drink beer for 2 days. Drink beer, coffee, and eat fast food. So voice might sound a little bit different, but we can roll with it, and we'll talk through it. So if you were paying attention yesterday, yesterday morning East Coast time, Bitcoin was kind of taking a little bit of a temporary sell-off, and over the course of the night and morning went from about 5,700 all the way down at one point to about 5,150, even a little bit lower than that, really towards $5,100. You can see here on the charts down here, and as soon as it hit about $5,100, it made a straight up move right back up, and people just started buying, and accumulating. And it looks like that's a point where there was a lot of support and a lot of interest for people to kind of quote unquote buy that dip. So people saw this happening. It looks like a lot of, there's a heavy amount of buy volume towards the bottom of this little mini sell-off here. And a lot of people saw that as an opportunity, and correctly so, saw that as an opportunity to get into Bitcoin at a discount below where it's been trading in this 5,700 range, and accumulate more before a potential run back up. So this was for me, this was an interesting thing to watch. I wasn't able to really do all that much because I've been sitting in a conference room for a while, and that was kind of a good thing for me too, because I think in a lot of cases, there's two ways that in a lot of respects I think people approach this. Is number one, people see a sell-off, people see this moving down, and if they're holding, they think one of two ways. They think, okay, or there's really three ways, but three ways to do things, two ways where there's any action. Number one is just, I'm going to chill and hold, and a lot of times that's the best. In a lot of cases, that could be one of the best things if you're especially not super experienced or you don't have a great plan of action. The second thing is, I see this going down. I think it's going to go down further. I'm going to try and sell off and buy back in even lower to increase my stack or move it somewhere else. And that wouldn't have been a good move yesterday, because anybody who sold off here might have been able to buy back, or they were waiting for a larger dip and they weren't given that opportunity. Or if you sold back down here in this one kind of around 9 a.m. yesterday, you either had to buy back in higher or you're just sitting on the sidelines now. The last option, it's basically hold, sell, or the last option, in a lot of cases the best option there is buying that dip. And it's really difficult to actually time this successfully, but looks like there were a lot of people that saw this moving and going in a direction that they felt was a good bargain price, and there were a lot of people that bought up that dip in the 5,100 range. Now we'll have to see if that is something that continues to hold on into the future, and if there's any type of true support there. If that was just kind of a one-time thing, we'll have to end up taking a look. But it's positive and it's encouraging in terms of Bitcoin's overall stability in my mind, that there was a pretty decent sized sell-off. I mean, we're talking about 5-10% here sell-off from the recent highs, and that was pretty quickly shaken out, and then the market just moved right on back up, and people just hop back in to buy and provide more support, and the market continued to move up. So I like that from Bitcoin. I was pretty happy to see that movement over the course of 24 hours. How did I play this, and is there anything there that you can learn from me? I actually didn't play it at all. I chilled back and I held, and primarily, and this is a lot of the reason why too I like hardware wallets in a lot of respects, is I didn't have my hardware wallet on me. Even if I wanted to do something, I couldn't have done anything. I didn't have my Ledger, so I couldn't really, I mean, I could buy more if I wanted to, but I wasn't really even available to do so. But I definitely couldn't sell anything if I even wanted to. And so there's no temptation there. And that's something that ends up working out nicely for me, because sometimes if you have Bitcoin, if you have Ethereum, if you have Litecoin, if you have whatever sitting on these exchanges, whether it's GDAX, which is what I'm looking at here on the Bitcoin charts, or if it's something else, you get that temptation to make a move. In a lot of cases, emotion gets caught up. You can get caught up in emotion and make some not great decisions. For me, the best thing is just having it on a hardware wallet and having the component of crypto that I'm just going to hold and let do its thing. And that way I can continue to I really don't have those tempting thoughts to, if I think the market's going down and I'm like, all right, I want to get out right now. Maybe a lot of people are saying right now, okay, I guess, for example, a lot of people are saying, I think Bitcoin's going to go back down to 4,500 or so, or 4,200, something like that. If I saw this momentum, maybe Bitcoin, I thought yesterday was losing momentum and it's going to go all the way down to the mid 4,000s or maybe to 4,900. If I sell out here and buy back in lower, I'm going to increase my stack a bit. I didn't even have that temptation just because it wasn't physically possible for me to do anything. So that's something that for me, as just an overall trading strategy too, that is helpful, is taking away access to that cryptocurrency on a 24/7 basis, because this is a 24/7 market. It goes crazy. Crazy things happen. And in a lot of cases, reducing your access to some of that crypto where you're not able to trade and make stupid decisions all the time is, I think for me, that's a beneficial practice and it's a beneficial thing to do. This just happened to be that, this movement happened and went down and went back up. So really not a ton of change over the course of 48, 72 hours. But within that 48, 72 hours, there's probably a lot of tempting thoughts if I had my money on the exchanges, or if I had if I had Bitcoin ready to go, and if I had different orders set, or if I wanted to set those orders. For me, there's just no temptation because I'm not physically able to get a hold of that crypto. So I like that too. And I would recommend that in a lot of cases for a lot of people out there. Is it helps to restrict access to when you want to trade and put barriers and parameters in place so that you're not always, the second you see a move upwards, you're not FOMO buying. The same goes for buying in when it's skyrocketing, or maybe selling when it's going down. Those are the human emotions where you get caught up in shit, and that is helpful to not be able to do that if you don't have access to those funds or to whatever it is over time. So I think that's something that I would definitely recommend too. And really the reason that I didn't make any plays one way or another turned out fine for me too, because we're basically back where we were 48 hours or so ago, back in 56, 5,700 range. So no harm, no foul at all. And that typically turns out to be how it is most of the time with crypto, is at least within something with as much stability as Bitcoin, at least, that you can step away from the charts and you cannot do anything. You cannot look and you cannot get all jacked up and amped up about things, and you're going to be fine. You don't have to have you don't have to be trading every day with money in the exchanges. You don't have to go nuts. Just put your money away a lot of times and let it do its thing. And if you really find an opportunity where there's a big concerted dip, or even a short-term dip like yesterday where it went down, let's see how far it went down over the course of, went down about 8 or 9%. That might be the opportunity you want to buy back into something. And then from there, the recovery has been pretty smooth as well. I mean, we're talking about close to a 10% recovery in the past 24 hours. So that's the type of quote unquote buying the dip that everybody likes to talk about. That's when that strategy has always been useful, is if you're buying on those red days. Now, it's impossible really to time how deep you buy into a dip, but it's always a lesson to see every single time, at least in Bitcoin. A lot of the other altcoins, you can buy a dip and it can continue to go a lot lower and a lot lower and a lot lower. Bitcoin could always go lower as well, but I think with Bitcoin, if you're buying a dip, you're basically going to just dollar cost average yourself lower in, and then eventually, depending upon where Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin is going to continue to chug along and chug along and chug along. So yesterday is, again, always a good day to understand strategy-wise how you can evaluate the past 24, 48 hours of what's happened in the market and learn from it. And also how to evaluate how you played it. Did you do something that was smart? Did you buy the dip yesterday? Did you get emotional and think the market was free falling and sell at a low point when you shouldn't have? Would love to hear what you did in the comments too below. That would always be, it's always interesting to hear from a psychological perspective how you guys are able to play these movements. Did you do anything? Did you just, hodl and chill, kick those feet up, smoke a cigar and drink some beer? Or did you do one of those moves where you panic sold or you bought the dip like a champ? So those are interesting things to check out from how you perceive the past market movements and how you can learn from historical things, as well as what did you do in that scenario to affect your future holdings, and to how can you learn from that as well. So definitely something that you want to to concern yourself with. And I've seen a lot of people say this as well. I'll probably eventually do a video on it too, but I've seen a lot of people, even traders, traders online talk about this, where they talk about journaling, and whether it's recording videos or writing something down, is just, if there's a specific market movement and you make a trade, what did you feel during that time? What was happening in the market? And then you basically contain a repository of that information, of that journal. So whether it's a video journal or just a handwritten journal, talking about what trades you made, why you made those trades, what were you feeling when you bought or you sold, what was happening in the market, and then from there you can go back and review that information. So if you panic sold down here and then all of a sudden the market goes shooting back up and screaming back up 10%, what were you feeling in that moment? Why did you make that decision? And how can you be more successful? How can you avoid doing that again in the future? And I think if you're able to document that accurately, it's going to help you quite a bit in the future to just make better decisions and be smarter about how you play the markets. So definitely something I would recommend there as well. Outside of that today too, pretty, I don't want to say up and down day. For the most part, a lot of crypto out there is following Bitcoin's movement up, which has been good to see. For the most part, a good amount of the crypto has been following Bitcoin up and recovering a little bit after yesterday's brief sell-off. So not going to go too much into that. Outside of that, guys, if you have any questions, or again too, if you have any strategies on how you psychologically deal with some of these 10% sell-offs or some of these movements, I would really be interested in hearing that, whether it's doing something like that journaling, or if it's just you make a concerted effort to always buy on a specific dip, or how you can control your emotions. If it's limiting yourself to a hardware wallet, would love to hear your thought process on that. My name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. If you are new to the channel by any chance, I hope you found this video helpful. I do daily videos on the subject of cryptocurrency, so please consider subscribing. Would really, really appreciate that, guys. Outside of that, Rob from Crypto Bobby signing out. Peace.